Did you know that testosterone rates in men across the country are at the lowest rate they've ever been? We're going to talk about that and some other men's health issues right here with today's guest, Dr. Tracy Gapin on the Manlihood ManCast.
Men, this is your chance to strive for greatness, to be all you can be, to make your mark on history. Your chance to improve and sharpen yourself, to grapple with your weaknesses and turn them into strength. Welcome to the Manlihood ManCast with Josh Hatcher.
Gentlemen, welcome to the Manlihood ManCast. I'm really glad you guys tuned in today. I want you guys to make sure that you are subscribed to our channel, that you're subscribed to our podcast. Leave us a rating and review. Let's help get the word out about what we're doing here at Manlihood. All right, guys, today's guest is Dr. Tracy Gapin. He's a leading expert in men's health. He's focused on optimizing male performance, and we're living in a world where healthcare is often falling short of what it needs to help men. So Dr. Gapin advocates a more proactive and personalized approach to men's health. So without further ado, let's get started. Doctor, it is great to have you on the show today. How are you today, man?
Thanks so much, Josh. Great. Glad to be here with you.
Awesome. So tell me about yourself, man. You are definitely an expert in the field of men's health and men parts, right? So
Yeah, I would think so, yes. I come from a background in urology. I spent 23 years in traditional healthcare focused on men's health. Board certified urologist I was in a busy practice, urology practice here in Sarasota, Florida for all that time, doing robotic surgery, treating kidney stones, treating prostate cancer, doing vasectomies. And about halfway through that career, I ran into some health issues that got me to realize that we are failing men and that our traditional healthcare system is all about treating disease. And, in my old life, we would find your diagnosis code, your ICD-10 diagnosis code, and that's how we would treat you. And that's how insurance companies and Medicare, et cetera, would pay or compensate for that treatment based on disease, based on treating symptoms, illness, disease. When you are looking to have more energy, when you're looking at better cognitive function and focus, when you're looking to lose weight, burn fat, build muscle, have better sex drive, have better sexual performance, there's no answers for that in our healthcare system. There's no tools in the tool belt for those kinds of issues. And when I ran into health issues of my own, it made me really come face to face with that. And many years later now, after going down many rabbit holes and learning and research and certifications, I jumped off a cliff. I left traditional healthcare 2.5 years ago, and launched the Gapin Institute for High Performance Health, where I can specifically focus on helping men achieve high performance health. And what that really means is, how do I help you optimize your mind and body to function at the highest level and not just focus on just treat disease or treat a problem. And that's where we really got to shift the paradigm of men's health.
Yeah, for sure. I know that I recently got a new insurance provider and I needed to go for my initial visit and all of that. And I haven't had a checkup in a little while. And, I came with my checklist, right, of all the things to check out that I've been putting off forever. And yeah, it would have been nice if I had the tools to head those things off before they became issues, right? So, so instead of having to go to the doctor to get this thing checked out and this thing checked out and this thing checked out, what can we do? And so what does that look like? What is your advice for men who are like, all right, like, how do you be healthy? How do you start out from that perspective?
We are, men are simple creatures, and we are of this, if it ain't broke, don't fix it mentality, right? Like, we don't see a doctor until there's a problem. And that's really what the system really supports and condones, because it's just there to treat disease. And so what I would urge men to do is to take charge, to feel empowered, to not wait until there's a problem that it's too late, but go get testing done. Find those hidden blind spots in your health that are holding you back. Let me give you an example of this that I think will drive this point home for you, Josh. I like to use the example of Bob Harper. Bob Harper, he's the lead fitness trainer on the TV show The Biggest Loser. Mm-hmm. Okay, that guy looks great. We all aspire to be as healthy as he is. And he's helping people lose weight, and he's in the best shape of his life, eating great, exercising every day. But a couple of years ago, at age 51, Bob Harper had a heart attack. It was in the news. He almost died. And after his surgery, he was interviewed, and he talks about how there were things going on under the surface that he had no idea were happening that was having a major impact on his health. He thought he was doing all the right things. He was eating the right foods. He thought he was training every day, working out. But yet here he is at age 51 having a heart attack, almost dying. And so I use that as an example of how we all have hidden blind spots with our health that we don't even realize are going on that are causing major damage right under our noses. Issues with hormones, issues with our gut health, issues with blood sugar regulation, inflammation, micronutrient levels, immune system, stuff like that. That's catastrophic, but we can prevent it if we can identify it early enough.
So when you talk about hormone levels in particular, I know that one of the things that I wanted to have tested, because I've had several people say, hey, look, this is an issue for a lot of men today. And they don't necessarily know why it's an issue for a lot of men today. But they say that low testosterone is an issue. And there's 1,000 different theories as to why. Maybe you can answer some of that. I don't know. But I did go and I find out, wow, it's low. So I've got to wait 6 months to get into an endocrinologist to get some more answers on that.
Yeah.
Why is this happening?
Yeah. So first, why? And I call this the men's health epidemic that's not getting the attention it deserves, because most men don't even realize their testosterone levels are low until they go get checked. And they don't even realize it because the symptoms can be very mild for many years until it's finally big enough problem that guys recognize issues with sex drive is typically the first thing that guys will notice. Issues with sexual performance, can't burn fat, can't build muscle in the gym, can't lose that weight they're trying to lose. Cognitive function, brain fog, mental acuity is off, energy is low, especially late in the day. All those kind of symptoms that you hear about. But to answer your question, the most common cause, without question, is actually toxins in our environment. And we're talking about plastics, like plastic water bottles, plastic food containers, etc. Chemicals in our food, chemicals in our drinking water, chemicals and toxins in our personal care products. And they're everywhere. They're all around us. And so that's the culprit. And it's not just what we're exposed to, Josh. It's actually our fathers were exposed to these toxins, and it affected their germ cells and their sperm that ultimately affected us, and their father, our grandparents, and so on. And so it's a clear culprit. There are tons of studies that have showed how these toxins can crush testosterone production and testosterone function too.
So do they just give you a pill or a shot? Like, what do they do if you decide that that if you do get it checked and you decide you're low? What are your options for that?
Yeah, so most guys, the story is, I think I might have low T. You go to your doctor and they check your total testosterone, and the total testosterone is 300, and the doctor says, well, the range is 250 to 850, and so because your level's 300, you're fine, Josh. You're fine, you're normal, you don't need testosterone, and in fact, you wouldn't even qualify for testosterone therapy. It's a joke. It's a total joke. It's important to recognize that levels have plummeted by almost 50% over the last 20 years. Free testosterone is down almost 50% over the last 20 years. Crazy. So what that means is a 45-year-old guy today has a testosterone level that's about half of a 45-year-old guy 20 years ago.
And it's probably even more than that if you go back even further.
That's right. And it's getting worse every year, without question. And that comes from 3 longitudinal studies in the U.S., Sweden, and Finland. So we know without question levels are about half what they were. Well, that range, that reference range that the doctor's looking at, that 250 to 850, let's just say, and it differs by lab. And the reason it differs is because that range is just the average. It's the average of all the lab draws that they do. LabCorp or Quest, or whichever lab you're going to, will do 1 billion testosterone levels. And what's the median? and then what's 2 standard deviations on either side, above and below that median, and that gives you your range. And so that range 20 years ago, again, was almost 50% higher than it is now. And so understanding that concept makes you realize how ridiculous it is to think that if you're at the bottom end of that range that you're okay. Because you're not. You're just in the second statistical standard deviation from the median, which we know is very low to begin with. And so that's the big problem, is that levels are plummeting, and our healthcare system's not made to deal with it because insurance won't allow treatment for those men with low testosterone, purely because of this ridiculous reference range.
So, are there things that a man can do to help it naturally?
There are, yeah.
So medicine.
Yeah, so when we look at natural ways that we can boost testosterone, short of giving testosterone therapy, which we can talk about, the most common things would be strength training. You know, resistance training, heavy weights, especially if you're using your core, your leg muscles, your quad, your hamstring, your back, these large muscle bellies. Heavy weight training has definitely been shown to boost testosterone. Improving sleep is one of the key ways that you can improve testosterone. There was a great study that showed that in men who were subjected to sleep deprivation, they were kept up overnight. One night, their testosterone level was about 50% lower than it was the day before. So sleep is a really big critical component. We could look at stress and the impact that stress and chronically elevated cortisol has on testosterone, and how can we mitigate, how can we lower that as well. So anything that you can do to lower your stress levels, lower cortisol, that's going to be helpful as well. You know, certainly nutrition is important, making sure you get key multivitamins, B vitamins, zinc, magnesium, selenium are key micronutrients that you need for optimal testosterone production. So that's important. All of these maneuvers that can help testosterone production are going to have a mild to moderate effect. I'll add in there also sunlight exposure to the testicles in the morning has been shown to help. Also for those who aren't thinking about that.
So you got to sun the boys, huh? Is what
There
you're
you
saying?
go. Exactly. That's right. Actually been
Oh
shown
my
to help.
goodness.
But you do all these maneuvers, and you'll get a guy with a free testosterone. Let's say it's 4. I see guys off the street come in free testosterone 4, and to give you a perspective, the scale, free testosterone, our target's around 20 or so. Somewhere around 20, 15, 20, 25 even would be good. That's the ideal. A lot of guys come in with a free of like 4. If you were to aggressively pursue all these natural approaches for 3 months, let's just say, that 4 may get to 7, 8. And so, yes, it does help, and most guys need more than that as well. And so that's when we end up getting into the conversation about giving testosterone therapy. And there are a couple ways of doing that. It typically is not an oral tablet. It's actually typically either an injectable or a topical or pellets. Those are the 3 main ways of giving testosterone.
Now, I have heard, and I'm not sure because I haven't researched it yet. I'm just kind of starting this journey myself. I've heard that when you testosterone therapy can actually help, it can actually prevent your body from producing it naturally. Is that true, or is that one of the rumors?
So, a great question. I hear this a lot, and guys will say, well, if I get on testosterone therapy, isn't it going to suppress my own body's production, and when can I stop it, and all those kind of questions around different ways of asking what you just said. And so it starts with first understanding that the brain sends a signal to the testicles to make testosterone normally, okay? That testosterone is produced by the testicles, and then it tells the brain, hey, we got enough, you can turn it off now, we're okay, and then the brain will turn off that signal. The brain sends this low again, it increases the signal, and testosterone levels go up again. And it's this negative feedback. Testosterone turns off the brain signal, okay? When a guy has low testosterone, like the guy I mentioned a moment ago, free testosterone of 4, let's just say. Well, why is it low? It's low, again, because of toxins in our environment, toxins we've been exposed to for decades, toxins that our fathers and grandfathers were exposed to. That damage is not going to be undone. It's from crummy diet. It's from poor sleep. It's from stress. It's from all the other things that can affect testosterone production. Nonetheless, his testosterone level is 4, free T of 4. Natural approaches, I can't get it to where it needs to be up to 20, like we said. And so the only way that we can reliably, consistently, and efficiently get that testosterone level up to 20 is by giving you testosterone to get you to that level. Okay? Once I get your testosterone level up to 20 to where it needs to be, what's going to happen? Well, you're going to have more energy. You're going to have better cognitive function, mental acuity, focus, concentration, etc. You're going to have better mood. You're going to have better drive for life. You're going to feel like a man again. You're going to have better muscle mass. You're going to be able to burn fat and visceral fat. You're going to have better bone health. You're going to have reduced cardiovascular disease and lower LDL numbers. You're going to have better sex drive, better sexual performance. You're going to have all of these amazing benefits that go along with optimized testosterone levels. So then my question would be, well, why the hell would you want to turn that off? Why would you want to get rid of that? Like you found the solution to a lot of issues, and testosterone is not the magic bullet, but it's a great start. The answer to that question is, once we get your testosterone optimized, the reality is you're not going to want to turn that off again. Your body already was not making what you need, and so we are going to replenish that for you. And so the fact that your body wasn't making enough, that's really the deciding factor. If your body was making enough testosterone, you wouldn't need testosterone therapy. And so when you look at it that way, you understand how it's a logical choice. And once you correct testosterone, it changes everything.
Well, that has helped me be equipped as I start this discussion with my endo here in a few months. Boy, healthcare is a mess, though. It's like it takes forever to get into what you need to get into these days. So that's a side topic for maybe another podcast.
Yeah, and endocrinologists are, I'm not going to bash them here, but they're still stuck in the disease model, the disease-centric, insurance-focused healthcare system that is controlled by the insurance companies and big pharma. And that's going to dramatically affect the outcomes and affect really what you can do.
Yeah. It's crazy. So, Doc, tell me some of the other issues that you're helping men with and that men need to kind of think about and be aware of.
Yeah, so thank you. So I see high-performing entrepreneurs, I see executives, I see professionals, I see small business owners, I see plumbers, I see accountants, and all guys tend to have the same issues. It's, Doc, I want to have more energy. I'm tired, especially later in the day. I want to take a nap. I'm exhausted. I'm wiped out. I want to have better brain function, cognitive function. I can't think like I used to. I can't make decisions quickly enough. I feel like my mind is not sharp like it used to be. I want to lose weight. Specifically, I want to burn fat. I want to build muscle. I want to have better body composition. Most guys just put it as lose weight. And then I want to have better sex. I want to have better sex drive. I used to chase my wife around. Now she's chasing me, and she thinks I'm cheating on her because I'm just not interested in sex anymore. And I'm so focused on work and focused on my career and focused on this and that I don't even think about it like I used to. So I want to get that drive back again. I want to have better sexual performance like I used to. So those are really the three things, Josh, that guys talk about. It's energy and focus, weight loss, and sex. And most guys tend to have issues in one of those three areas once you hit the age of about 45 or so. Things start to fall apart. Why is that? Well, number one, it's hormones. And so we just touched on testosterone for a while, which is where it always tends to start. But I think it's important to recognize that we have over 50 hormones in our body. Over 50. There's testosterone, there's thyroid, DHEA, nitric oxide, melatonin, vitamin D, estrogen, progesterone, leptin, and it goes on and on and on. Again, 50 plus. Testosterone certainly gets all the attention and it's important, but a lot of the issues I see with high-performing men who are struggling, it's hormones. And once you can correct hormones, it allows you to start to move on and look at other issues as well. One of the other common underlying problems guys have is issues with gut health. And the gut, honestly, and I didn't learn this until 5, 6, 7 years ago. I went through most of my medical career not really understanding this. The gut controls everything. your gut actually has more genetic material. There's more DNA in your gut than there's in your whole body combined. It's amazing. And it controls your energy systems. It controls metabolism. It controls hormones. It controls neurotransmitters in your brain. It controls your immune system. And no one's looking at the gut. And every guy I work with, we find major issues in the gut related to crummy diet, related to stress, related to chronic inflammation that's causing damage, toxins, etc., that's causing damage to the gut. And that leads to a systemic effect as well. And so it's hormones, it's looking at the gut, it's looking at blood sugar regulation. You know, a lot of guys will say, I'm eating the right foods, but nothing's working. And come to find out they're eating all the wrong foods, they just didn't know it. And so testing can help us understand what's the right food for you. You know, it's funny, Josh, you go on Twitter, you've seen it, I'm sure. You go on Twitter and all these guys are battling over the perfect diet and the war of keto versus paleo versus vegan versus plant-based versus Mediterranean versus carnivore. It's BS because everyone's different. Everyone's genetic makeup, everyone's physiology is different, such that you need a unique nutrition plan that's right for you. And so these are just some of the blind spots, I call them, Josh, that we can identify through testing to help guys, again, have more energy, lose weight, and have better sex.
So getting tested is really the key because you need to know what works for you, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And probably for sure, we should just all stop eating just junk food in general.
That's right.
So no matter what it is that you're doing, the candy bar is not helping, right?
Yeah, you know, a lot of guys say, well, what should I eat? And the answer is complicated because everyone's different. But there are things that every guy can start today, and that starts with getting rid of the crap. You know, sometimes diets are, you know, when I say diet, I mean a nutrition program or nutrition plan is more effective based on what you're eliminating than what you're adding. And so if you can get rid of those packaged crap products, the candy bars, the chips, the processed refined sugars, and focus on just eating simply real food, it's amazing how just that alone can make a massive difference.
What do you think is one of the biggest health issues that men are facing right now? What the things that they really need to work on?
Yeah, good question. I would say cortisol, stress. Chronic stress leads to elevated cortisol. So when I say stress, most guys will say, "Nah, this isn't for me. I don't have stress. I'm fine. I'm running a small business. I'm running a podcast. I'm running a medical practice. I'm running a whatever. And no, I deal with it fine." Nonsense, BS. You're wrong. And I hate to put it like that, but a lot of guys kind of need to be shaken. We don't realize it. We don't realize how we internalize everything, and it piles up, and we keep ignoring it for the sake of our business, for the sake of our career, for the sake of providing for our family, for being the best dad we can be, for being a husband, for being all the roles that we need to manage. But what's happening is this chronic underlying stress is raising cortisol levels, stress hormone. And what does that do? That makes you store fat. Cortisol blocks muscle production. You cannot build muscle. You cannot burn fat with elevated cortisol levels. It turns off your hormone production. So your testosterone, your DHEA, a key hormone, your thyroid production, growth hormone, all of these key hormones that we really care about are turned off by cortisol. Cortisol destroys the gut and leads to systemic inflammation and autoimmune processes and food sensitivities, et cetera. And so we know that internal stress, and I want to first of all just emphasize when we say stress, it's not just psychological. It can be stress from a crummy diet. It can be stress from poor sleep. It can be stress from toxins. Any kind of internal physiologic stress is what we're talking about that raises cortisol. And so it's honestly identifying those stressors in a man's life and mitigating them and overcoming them. And that takes work. There's no magic easy pill to do that.
Yeah, I definitely, like, I know that in my life, if I want to eliminate stress, I have to do a better job at planning ahead and working ahead. Like this interview, for example, we are recording it in November. It's probably going to air a few months from now, right? It's going to air down the road a little while because I work ahead to help eliminate some stress. You know, and
Sure.
that's something I think a lot of guys have a hard time. You know, that's
Yeah.
from that psychological end is we always wait to the last minute and then
Right. Yeah.
then we're rushing, you know?
That's right.
So, what what was it that made you say, "All right, this system is not working anymore"? When you were looking at the medical system and the way
Yeah.
that it was, big pharma insurance based. I mean, we all can look at it now and see it's not working. But why did you make that switch?
Yeah. So I ran into health issues of my own where I had really just neglected myself for the sake of my practice, my medical practice. I'm busy taking call. I'm doing robotic surgery, treating cancer every day, and it's stressful. And it's at times it's a lot. And I was not eating well. I did not exercise at all. High stress job, not sleeping well, and all of that caught up with me one day, one magical day when I came face to face with this, and I realized that something had to change. And my concierge medical doctor, colleague, friend of mine, had no answers for me. He was like, "Yeah, he told me to lose weight, eat more vegetables, literally, and if I didn't get better, I might need to be on a statin." And that was all he could offer me. And I'm like, "Well, what the hell?" Like, there
It
has to
doesn't
be
fix
more. And,
this.
and I'm the men's health expert, so I go back to my urology practice. I'm like, well, I can find the answer myself. I'm like, well, shit, I don't really know the answer either, other than maybe testosterone. And I realized that, we as men's health experts, all we have are testosterone and the blue pill. That's it. In the urology, men's health world, endocrinology, it's testosterone and insulin.
Right.
If you're diabetic, primary care doctors, it's a statin. And I know my problem is not a statin deficiency. I know that's not it. I know there's more to it than that. And so that got me studying, Josh. It got me diving deep into the worlds of hormone optimization, how to do it the right way, and functional medicine, and regenerative medicine, peptide therapy, and epigenetics, which is lifestyle medicine and how it's the science of how our lifestyle and behavior and environment are directly impacting our health and our physiology. And I realized that all that time we were missing the boat. All that time I was failing every man in front of me. I was failing him because all I had, all the tools I could give him was testosterone and a blue pill. And so that was really a game changer for me, through my own selfish reasons of fixing myself. Enabled me to provide that same experience for the clients I work with. And so that's what led me to step away from traditional healthcare. And Josh, man, I used to hate my job. I used to go to work every day and grind it out for the sake of my patients and my career and my practice. But I hated it. And I felt like I was failing. I didn't know how or why. But now I can see how I can have a much bigger impact by helping guys prevent problems, be proactive, find those hidden blind spots before they become a real problem, and improve quality of life along the way, and help you live longer along the way. And so to me, that's really become a passion project for me, and it's a lot of fun, and I love it.
Did you get any flack when you said, "Hey, I'm not going to do it this way anymore"?
My colleagues all thought I was batshit crazy, and they all are now miserable, still stuck in that world, and it's tough to get out. You kind of get ingrained, embedded in the system, and you. I'm very much an entrepreneur. I'm more a CEO of Gapin Institute now than I am a clinician, so that I can have a bigger impact and reach more men. Most physicians are not like that, and I'm not being condescending. They're just they're more clinicians. They're more medical practitioners. Whereas I'm more, how can I reach more men? And so they laugh at me, they scoff at me, and now they're jealous. And how can I do that? How can I do what you're doing? Kind of concept. And I'm trying to really shift the paradigm, Josh, toward being proactive and taking charge and being being personalized in your approach to men's health as well, and using the advanced testing that we have right at our fingertips to understand what's right for each guy, and not just give them the same old, I call it the one size fails all model of health that we know doesn't work for every guy.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it because, yeah, like I said, I'm walking through some of those changes as I'm 45 now, right? And I'm walking through some of those shifts and dealing with the doctor, and they're like, well, it's probably this, or you better get this checked out. And then you've got to, and we live in a rural area, so half of the doctors are, 2 hours away. And I'm like, all right, I think that's enough of this. And it's things that, honestly, knowing a lot of the spots that I'm having in my health, right? I wish I would have had, Tracy Gapin MD talking to me when I was 20 and saying, you should do it this way before you, I think that being proactive starts when you're younger. I know a lot of our guys are kind of spread out, demographic wise, but the younger ones, man, like, do it now, because it's a lot harder if you wait.
Yeah. And I think it's important to recognize that a lot of times you may think you're doing okay, and the lab testing tells a very different story, and the biometric data that we track tells a very different story that helps you realize where to focus your attention, what you're doing right, and where you might need to get some help.
You talk about that biometric data. So how does that work? Do you, like, if a guy calls you and he's like, all right, I'm ready to start, like, walk me through that process. He's like, okay, I need help. And he calls you up. How do you do it?
So we do initially a fairly extensive lab panel, and that includes blood work. We'll often do microbiome stool testing. We'll do salivary testing for genetics and cortisol testing. We will sometimes do food sensitivity testing, blood work for that. We may do some organic acid, which is a urine test that looks at markers of metabolism. And we could take all these data points, all these lab tests, and help us understand where do you need help. And then we can use technology to actually track results. So, for example, we can use CGM. So our clients in our G1 program, we will use continuous glucose monitoring, or CGM. What that is you'll put a sensor on your arm. It looks like a little disc. Okay, it's about like a $50 size or so. It's maybe like a Nilla wafer in diameter, maybe a little smaller than that, or in thickness, I should say. And that gets attached to your arm. And there's a little sensor that goes just under the skin. When it's applied, you don't even feel it. It's so tiny. But what it does is it tracks your blood sugar 24/7. It tracks your blood sugar real time during the day and at night, and helps you understand what you're doing to your blood sugar. And what's powerful about that is that a lot of times we think we're eating the right foods. A lot of times we think we're doing the right things, when in fact we're not. And when your blood sugar is off, meaning when you have chronically elevated blood sugars, or when you're eating the wrong foods that are causing big, huge spikes in your blood sugar. We're not talking about diabetics here, Josh. We're talking about regular guys like you and me. When you have high blood sugar, you cannot build muscle. You will store fat. You cannot burn fat. It causes inflammation. It causes cardiovascular disease. It crushes energy. It crushes testosterone production. And so it has a lot of downstream effects as well. And so understanding things like that is all just biometric tracking with a simple sensor on your arm. We can track sleep. There are a lot of devices out there to track sleep. I would say the Aura Ring is probably the most validated, most accurate device we have out there, where we can track not just how long you sleep, because we all know you need about 7.5 hours of sleep, but it can track the quality of sleep, meaning the stages of sleep. So there's REM sleep, and then there's light sleep, and there's deep sleep. And we can measure the time spent in each of those stages to understand the quality of your sleep. And the only way you can do that is with a device. You can track stress. Heart rate variability is a surrogate, a marker for stress, and there are straps that you can wear to track HRV and understand stress levels. So this is how we can use all types of data points, Josh, to understand where you are and what's working and what's not, and where we need to focus.
Well, I definitely appreciate that insight, because I think that a lot of us, walking through it with data is going to be helpful to understand it, and that's really awesome.
Yeah.
So I know that you've got a quick turnaround time on how long you can be on the call. So I'm going to ask a couple questions.
Yeah.
And then if we have a couple minutes at the end, I'll definitely get a little bit more info from you. We should have time for that. So,
Sure.
Doc, tell me. I hope I'm not offending you by calling you Doc. I just tend to.
No.
I call
People Doc
doctors Doc
Tracy.
all the
It's all good, man. Yeah, yeah.
time.
Casual.
So, what does it take to be a man?
It takes commitment, dedication. It takes a decision. You know, we all know what to do, right? This is higher level for a second here. You all know I'm supposed to eat clean, I'm supposed to exercise, I'm supposed to sleep, I'm supposed to take something. Yeah, everyone knows what to do, but think about this, Josh. Why does no one do it? Why does no one do what they're supposed to do? And it comes down to commitment, discipline, dedication to what needs to be done, the hard work. I call this living with intention. And so, what does it take to be a man? I think I consider the most important part of it is living with intention, focusing on your why, what's important to you. You know, I know you mentioned before we got on air here that you're a dad, and I'm a dad as well. And for me, that is my why. Everything is about how I can be the best dad for my two little kids and the best husband I could be for my wife, etc. And so when you look at life through that lens, all of the decisions become so much easier when you just frame it as, does this fit with my why? And so to be a man, I think it's all about living with intention. And sometimes you need to be told what to do. You know, guys always say, just tell me what to do, Doc. But then you got to actually follow through and stay committed and live with intention.
Yeah, we want those instructions, but it doesn't mean anything if you tell me. It matters whether I tell myself and then actually.
There you go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have I'm working with a trainer, you know, and I train 4 days a week with weights, but 2 days I'll be with an actual trainer. And I do that because I'm committed. I've already paid in advance and I'm going to show up whether I want to or not. But my trainer last week asked me, he's like, actually, there's two trainers that work together. I was with the other one years ago, and now I'm with this one I've been with for a while now. And the old one said, why were you not doing this stuff when you were with me? Why are you so dedicated now when years ago you were with me, you didn't do shit? And the answer was, honestly, you need to be in the right frame of reference. You need to be dedicated. You need to be living with intention and stay true and be disciplined. And that's the hard part.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Doc, let's say you're able to go back in time, suspend the laws of time and physics. You know, maybe you get a DeLorean or something, and you can have a conversation with 10-year-old Tracy. What are you going to tell him?
Good question. I'm going to say follow your passion, follow your heart. You know, I stayed in a medical practice and a career that I knew was wrong for many years before I launched the Gapin Institute out of fear. Josh, you know, when you get comfortable, when you get in a situation that it's easier to stay than to leave, you stay because of fear. And if I had followed my heart, followed my passion, I would have been doing what I'm doing now, probably 6 years ago. And so I think of all the years I could have had building this and having a bigger impact by leaving traditional medicine sooner. So I think the answer would be follow your passion, follow your heart.
Yeah, awesome. Who knows? You might have been like a pirate captain or something too. If 10-year-old you would have.
There you go, right?
No, it's all good. And what is your best advice for the men that are listening today?
Get tested. Just simply get tested and work with Gapin Institute, work with someone else. Get tested, check your hormones, check your markers of inflammation, your blood sugar levels, check your lipids, check your micronutrient levels, check your gut. Get tested because I know there are blind spots that are holding you back. And once you correct those, it really opens up all kinds of possibilities for you.
Good advice, man. So if the guys want to get connected with you, the work that you're doing at Gap Institute, how do we make this happen? I mean, I'll include the links in the show notes, obviously,
perfect.
but what's the best way for them to connect?
Thanks. So website's gapininstitute.com. And I have an offer. I have a complimentary copy of my High Performance Health Handbook. It's a free download, PDF download you can get if you just text the word health to 26786. Again, text health, HEALTH, to 26786. That's going to give you 15 strategies and tactics that you can start employing today to, again, solve the issues guys care about. Have more energy, lose weight, have better sex. So text health to 26786.
Awesome. Well, I definitely have enjoyed this interview, man. I think there's some useful stuff here that's going to help us all out. So I appreciate it very much. Hey, Doc, thank you so much for your insight and helping us out here on the Manlihood ManCast. Guys, if you want to connect with the work that he's doing, make sure you check the show notes. As always, guys, make sure you go to our private Facebook group, the Manlihood Man Cave. We'd love to see you there. Just want you guys to know that you guys matter a lot to me. This whole movement of manlyhood is more than just Josh Hatcher talking on the computer. This is us becoming better men together, and I appreciate you guys for doing it with me. I love you. I'm proud of you, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Manlihood ManCast. If you want to be a better husband, father, leader, a better man, you need to join our private Facebook group, the Manlihood Man Cave. Join today. Please help us out with a like, comment, share, and subscribe. And check us out at manlihood.com.